Hey everyone, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I've got a project for you with my newest set from Gina K Designs, Pallet Christmas, and we are releasing this on October 22nd, 7 p.m. Central. We're going to be doing a Facebook Live with the illustrators for all the new products and sets over on our Gina K fan page on Facebook. So I hope you'll come check that out. I'd love to chat with you. We do have questions and comments and things, and Gina is kind of moderating that interview. So it's really fun if you haven't done one before. Today, this Pallet Christmas that I am releasing, it actually coordinates with my previous set, Perfect Pallets. So as you can see here, I used one of the boards and its filler to create a mantle. So we've got so many different elements in this new Pallet Christmas that you can use to create a really festive wall or a shelf, but also lots of standalone elements that you can create different scenes or things without the board. So I'm going to be showing those in videos in the upcoming months. But today I want to show you how we can make a scene similar to this one. In addition to these two stamp sets, the products that I'm going to use, we've got the Gina K Designs Obsidian Amalgam ink for our line art stamping. We're also going to be doing some bold stamping. So I've got two different greens for this greenery here on the mantle. I'm going to be using the Christmas pine and the fresh asparagus. If you want to do some stamping of the bricks in the background, it might be a little bit hard to see in the video, but it's just giving a nice soft texture. You could also use a darker ink for the brick, but I didn't have to mask the stockings, so I used some of the Gina K Designs Whisper, and that just gives a really nice texture on there, almost like it's embossed. And then I'm also going to be using the Sandy Beach ink. I think this makes a really nice blonde wood for that bold filler on the board. We're also going to be using some different markers. So I'm going to be using some of the Arteza Everblend alcohol markers. So I've got two browns that I'm using here for the log and the board. I'm going to be using the A609 and A2492. And all of these markers that I'm using, this comes from the set of 120 that I've shown before. Then I've got a darker and a lighter green, so I've got the A942 and the A555. For those candles, I'm going to be using a red and an orange. I've got the A422 vermilion and then the A411. And then I've got a gray for my shadows and for these candle holders. This is A155. And then I've also just got a white pen for doing some accents. For the blocks, I really like to use a long block for my boards, but you don't have to use as long of a one if you're just using a 4-inch board, but that's how long this one measures. This has a finger grip on it, so it's really nice for borders and long stamps, and Gina K makes that one. And then you'll just need a smaller block for the tinier elements. And then I'm just using a tape runner for my layers. The cardstock that I'm using today, I've got some of the Gina K White, the Christmas pine. This is 5.5 inches long to make a nice kind of border mat on my card that's going to really tie in that greenery. And then some of the Gina K Pure Luxury Red Hot, and this is an A2 size top fold card. So I will post those measurements below, but I'm going to be pointing out some different things in this set. I'll go ahead and say, so you see here you've got some different stockings, some different Christmassy greenery elements like the pine cone and the needles. We've also got some little cards, which are really fun for putting across the mantle. We've got this lantern and then this big hurricane jar for putting all sorts of different elements inside. And then all these different candles. So you've got taper candles, candle holders, little sconces to put up there. And then these little tiny elements that you see, these can be used as ornaments. They can be used as elements on those different cards. They could even be used as little stocking holders. And so I'll show you those. I've also made some really fun background patterns with those. Then we've got some different little curved pieces that you can use for garland. Here's some popcorn and some berries, some different arms or hands of a clock. So you can put that above it. So I just have so many different fun things planned for this set, and I can't wait to show you in my videos. So let's go ahead and begin by getting this stamped out on our white mat. And I'm going to start by stamping my board. I want to put that about 1/3 of the way down on my card, and that's going to give me enough room to put some elements above it, but also to have the little log at the bottom. If you're not doing the log, then you could put this really anywhere on here. If you, let's say, do it lower, then you could actually focus on up above the mantle. So here's one that I did on our soft stone cardstock, and you can see here the brick's a little bit better. I used the soft stone to stamp some of those bricks. And then I've just got a more neutral scene. I still have the greenery, but I used some of those little houses and then that lantern. This is for a friend who doesn't really celebrate Christmas, but I want to send her something wintry because she does put those kind of things out. All right, so let's go ahead and get this board stamped. And if you don't want to fill it in with an ink pad, you could just color it, or you could stamp it onto a neutral piece of cardstock. This is on the Gina K craft paper, so that is another option. So I'm going to put this right about here and pick it up. And then I'm going to take that bold board, the shorter one, and I'm going to fill that in with this sandy beach. And this will fit turned either way, regardless of how, it has a little bit of the wood grain on there, but you'll be able to fit that on. So pardon my head for just a second while I fit that in. And if you have any skips or whatever in your inking, that's okay. It's just going to add kind of a distress look to the board. I always like to take a marker though and just do just a few little lines on the board over it. This is a pretty close match, so let me use that darker one actually. And so I'm just skimming. I'm not tracing any of the boards. I'm just doing just a few little lines, and it's just going to give it a little bit more realism and texture. Okay, now let's add some of those stockings. And so I have a little knit one here with the little pom-poms on it, and then I have this buffalo plaid that is so popular right now. So let's go ahead and do these, and I think I'm going to color them on this card just to show you kind of a different look that you can do. And when they're colored, you're not going to see those bricks that I stamped behind them, so you don't have to do any masking. Now I went ahead and did 4 stockings just because there's 4 people in our family, but you can do less if you want. I'm going to go over that, so it's okay. The first one I just re-inked this pad, so it's really juicy, and it kind of slid around almost the first time I inked, so I didn't put as much ink on it the second time. Now what I want to do is I want to add just some little strings on there, and there's some, actually, no, I'm going to show that on a different card. I was going to do the stocking holders, but I really want to do the little garland here. I've got all the markers out for it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the black again. So I'm just going to stamp that above each of the stockings. This set is just so fun to build with. And then I'll go ahead and put the little fire grate and log at the bottom. So down here. Okay. And then I want to go ahead and I'm going to add some of the greenery up top. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put this little Christmas tree in the middle. And I have some different trees in here. I've got a fatter one and then these 2 small ones. So this is really fun to kind of create a little Christmas village on the mantle. So first I'm going to ink this up with the fresh asparagus, which is the lighter one, as you can see. And then I'm going to kind of just tap it, touch it with that Christmas pine. And it just gives a little bit more variation in the greenery and it looks more realistic. And now let's go ahead and I'm going to do some of these candles. So you've got them in 3 sizes, kind of like those 3, 6, and 9-inch pillars. And you can make this symmetrical, which is more formal, or you can do them in different groupings, which is more casual, but it always looks good in odd numbers if you're not making it symmetrical. So I've got those two tall ones, and then I'm going to use this shorter candle holder. So I'm going to put this on either side. Okay. And then I think, you know what I want to do actually, I think I'm going to put some little cards up on the mantle since I hadn't done that before. So let me go ahead and add a little card. And I've got portrait and landscape style cards to put up there. So I'm going to put this one. So this looks like a front facing portrait style card. I just love when the cards start coming in and just displaying them all over the house. I've got lots of different ways to do that. I've got a ring that they tuck into, and then a pocket, and then something on the table, and it's just so festive. I can't wait for Christmas. Okay, so I'm going to take this shorter candle for the holders. And just pop those on like that. And if you want to have these be a white, you could maybe use an ivory marker just so it'll stand out a little bit from the background. Just thought the red was really fun. So let me show you how I would color those to really create that glow. So first I'm just going to go on either side of the candles with this darker red. Like I said, this is the 411. So on either side, this is going to make it look really dimensional and round, so that that middle part is curving out and is closest to us. And I'm just having so much fun making little scenes with this set. I love decorating, but Christmas decorating is just the best. Put on the Christmas music. All right, and then I'm going to go in and I know this might look a little bit too orange, but it's just going to really create a glow there. So don't always have to feel like you have to use red, lighter red. So really just go over it, and it's just going to create that blend there. And you can leave that center part open, or you can go in with the white gel pen. Kind of create that highlight on there, and that's going to give it more of a waxy look. Okay. All right, now what I'm going to do, I mentioned coloring these, so I'm going to actually go over these with the chisel tip. So I'm going to make some red ones and then some green ones. And you can leave this top part white, or you can go ahead and fill it in with your marker. And actually, and I hope this is not going to happen, I'm kind of, since I'm changing my plan here a little bit, what I would have done is put that brick pattern on first, because it might transfer a little bit of this colored ink as I stamp the bricks over them. We'll have to see. I'll try to keep that from happening. Let's find out as we go. But I would recommend just doing that first. So let me put on a little bit of the bricks here so that you can see. And something I love about the bricks, I love how you don't have to fill up the entire background of bricks to get that brick look. You can just do part of it. So I'm going to grab this whisper, and I'm just going to go back and forth. You can see that the bricks are open on each end, and that is for you to then line it up and go across. So you're just going around in a few places. And if you create a really uniform pattern in one spot and you keep going, then you kind of are going to have to fill it in more. So I'm just going, yeah, so it did pick it up there a little bit with the red. So I'm just going to rub that off. I'll make that work. Go over that with my white. Okay, but so you see how it just lifted that red right off of there. So just keep that in mind, not to stamp over your coloring. Okay, a little bit right here. All right, so now what I'm going to do is then I'm going to go in and I'm going to color these green. So I'm going to use the darker one here. So I'm going to do this. And because I've got both greens, I think I'm going to use the olive one as well. And that's kind of actually how we have it at home. Each of us has a different stocking. I made my kids' stockings, which was so fun. That was just one of my favorite Christmas memories, just listening to Christmas music while I did that kit with all the sequins and embroidery. And then I'm going to put just a couple little things on these cards. So I'm going to take this small tree stamp again. And I'm going to do just one right there. So you're going to feel like you're decorating teeny tiny miniature cards, and there's an outline of the tree that you can do if you want. And then I think on the other one, I think I'm going to do this dove. I'm going to do the outline, and I'll do this in green. Okay, so there's my little cards. And then I want to fill in the log on the fireplace. So I'm going to take my two different browns. So first I'm going to do just this lighter one. And I fill the whole thing in with that. And then I'm going to use the darker marker for the bottom of the log. And just a little bit of the bark there on the edge and in the middle. And then just kind of trace over quickly just a few of the little bits of texture. And then I'm going to go just above that log so that it looks like there's two separate ones there. Okay. And then I'm going to take my gray marker and I'm just going to go below it. And then I want to make shadow here under the board. Now I'm not going to do shadows around the stockings because I'm thinking of these being out and hanging over. So this is recessed back here. So that's why I'm not tracing around that. I forgot actually, let me go ahead and I want to put some little garland on there. And I'm going to do just a little bit of gray on here with, it's going to be white in the middle just so that you've got that reflection like we have in the front with our candles. Okay. And I might just go ahead and do just a little bit here on the bottom. Just go over that with a gray instead of the darker red and green. And under there, just so that kind of offsets the cuff a little bit. Okay, and here, let me take this white right here. I'm just going to go just right over that. So see, it's always nice to have this to kind of minimize. You could also use your sand eraser, but that's really all I needed there. Okay, okay, now let's go ahead and put some of that garland on. Put back my dove here. Okay, so we're going to use this leafy garland, and I'm going to use my black. And you could stamp it in your green if you want, but because all of my other line art stuff is in the black, I'm going to stick with that. So I'm going to do one here. Oh, it's still so juicy. So I might want to tap that off before I do any more stamping. That's okay though, because this is all going to get colored in. So I really just kind of wanted that outline there. So I'm going to go ahead and use my string again, the little tied bow, to make it look like it is tied on at either side. And I think my original sample, I used the jet black instead of the Obsidian, so that's why it's coming out so dark. So let me use my lighter green here, the more olive green, and I'm just going to go in and just color over that. And then I'm going to use the darker green on the underside and just to add a little bit of variety and shadow to the garland. Okay, so I'm just going to just dab in the green on the underside and then just a few of the leaves coming up. Okay, so it's not getting every little bit of that, it's just going in very quickly. Okay, and then we definitely want to go underneath and we're just going to trace. This is going to keep all of our shadows consistent. And then on my original card, I went in and did some little red berry accents. So I like it without the berries when you're trying to go with something that's maybe more fall or just during the year. You could even do that as spring if you have it in the green. But that red really picks up the rest of your decor and makes it say Christmas. So I'm going to take this red here, just going to trace my little bow. I think I made it red on the first one. You could also stamp this in red, but I didn't have my red pad out. You could add just some little embellishments to that tree. It's always just the fun little details that really make your card fun and surprising for your recipient. So I'm going to go in with the berries, with the red, and if you're finding that it's too dark and they're not popping, what you can do is you can take that white pen again. You can make some white dots, and then when it dries, you go over that with your red, and that's giving you a nice new white background. Let's go over this again. And then it's also giving you that little highlight on your berry. And that's it. And then I would just put this just right on top of my green mat. That. Like that. That's it. It's so fun. So I hope you enjoyed this sample. Let me show you the other one again that I had. More of like a Scandinavian Christmas with the grays and the neutrals. Again, I hope that you will check out this set tonight at our release party at Gina K Designs. Thank you so much for watching today. Please check back for more videos and check out my blog, Hands, Head, and Heart, for our inspiration hops this week. Thank you for watching. God bless.